जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। मैत्रेय उवाच इति देवर्षिणा प्रोक्तम् 4870 इति देवर्षिणा प्रोक्तम् विश्रुत्य जगतीपति राजलक्ष्मीम् अनादृत्य पुत्रम् एवान्वचिन्तयत् इति देवर्षिणा प्रोक्तम् विश्रुत्य जगतीपति राजलक्ष्मीम् अनादृत्य पुत्रम् एवावचिन्तयत्। मैत्रेय उवाच इति देवर्षिणा प्रोक्तम् विश्रुत्य जगतीपति राजलक्ष्मीम् अनादृत्य पुत्रम् एवावचिन्तयत्। मैत्रेय उवाच इति देवर्षिणा प्रोक्तम् विश्रुत्य जगतीपति राजलक्ष्मीम् अनादृत्य पुत्रम् एवावचिन्तयत्। मैत्रेय उवाच इति देवर्षिणा प्रोक्तम् विश्रुत्य जगतीपति राजलक्ष्मीम् अनादृत्य पुत्रम् एवावचिन्तयत्। Maitreya Vacha. The great sage Maitreya said, Iti, thus, Devarshina, by the great sage Narada, Proktam, spoken, Vishrutya, hearing, Jagatipati, the king, Rajalakshmi, the opulence of his big kingdom, Anadritya, without taking care of, Putram, his son, Eva, certainly, Anvachintayat, began to think of him. Translation by His Divine Shrabai Chanaryan Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The great Maitreya continued, the king Uttanapad, after being advised, the king Uttanapad, after being advised by Narad Muni, practically gave up all duties in relation with his kingdom, which was vast and wide, opulent like the goddess of fortune, and he simply began to think of his son Dhruva. I'll just read through the next verse and translation purport. Tatrabhishiktaha prayatastam uposhya vibhavarim samahitaha paryacharat rishi adeshena purusham. Tatra, thereupon, abhishiktaha, after taking a bath, prayataha, with great attention, tam, that, uposhya, fasting, vibhavarim, night, Samahitaha, perfect attention. Paryacharat, worshipped. Rishi, Rishi, by the great sage Narada. Adeshena, as advised. Purusham, the supreme personality of Godhead. Translation. Elsewhere, Dhruva Maharaj, having arrived at Madhuban, took his bath in the river Yamuna and observed fasting in the night with great care and attention. After that, as advised by the great sage Narada, he engaged himself in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. The significance of this particular verse is that Dhruva Maharaj, the significance of this particular verse is that Dhruva Maharaj acted exactly according to the advice of his spiritual master, the great sage Narada. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti also advises that if we want to be successful in our attempt to go back to Godhead, we must very seriously act according to the instruction of the spiritual master. That is the way of perfection. That is the way of perfection. That is the way of perfection. There need be no anxiety over attaining perfection because if one follows the instruction given by the spiritual master, he is sure to attain perfection. Our only concern should be how to execute the order of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is expert in giving special instructions to each of his disciples. And if the disciple executes the order of the spiritual master, that is the way of his perfection. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकथा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलम् श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादम् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरम्. So, today is a very auspicious day. This is the festival of Jagannath Mishra, the day after the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Udilaruna Puravabhage Dvijamani Gauramani Jage. So, in the morning time, in the transcendental divine realm of Navadvip Dham, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, their golden forms, they're made of ecstasy, made of love of Godhead. Those golden, very attractive forms wandering the land of the eternal land of Navadvip, chanting the holy names of the Lord and simply wandering. It's like, uh, and the Supreme Lord, He wanders. That itself is so enchanting. It's like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most beautiful personality in all of creation. Mm, Actually, more than Krishna, more than Radharani, because of course these are uh, infinite statements, which means that it's not like uh, it's not material, and it's not that when there's no time, so it's eternal. Mahaprabhu is eternally enchanting, Krishna is eternally enchanting, and Radharani is eternally extremely enchanting. So there's no material understanding or material conception, but this love uh, that between Radha and Krishna, actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just to glorify Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahu is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Krishna told the gopis, Krishna told the gopis that even in a day of Lord Brahma, I cannot repay your surrender. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, mm, that love that Krishna has for the residents of Vrindavan, especially for Srimati Radharani, taking that mood actually, that mood is exemplified by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, um, these two verses are very significant, since Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he, as Grace Guru Prabhu mentioned, right? Sorry, I forgot. Seek the blessings. I have no realization. I have no qualification. I seek the blessings of all the devotees, especially His Grace Guru Prabhu and all the previous acharyas. Hare Krishna. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually, for the benefit of all the fallen conditioned souls, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the renounce order. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the benefit of all the fallen conditioned souls, actually brought not only him alone, but all his associates. Just as we say that Krishna uh, came from Golok Vrindavan, he brought all his associates, he brought the Dham. In the same way, Navadvip Dham also, Lord Chaitanya descended from the eternal Navadvip, which is in the spiritual world. And even till today, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is still inundating the land of Navadvip, because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that as Kali Yuga progresses, Vrindavan it will become more and more difficult to access Vrindavan. But uh, for people in general, for common people, not for devotees, but for people in general, Vrindavan will become more and more covered, and Navadvip Dham will become more and more open. So, who is Mahaprabhu? Why is Mahaprabhu so special? because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified the most important qualification, sorry, the most important quality of, the most important qualification of a devotee and the most important quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, that is, that the Supreme Lord is eternally surrendered, is eternally the servant of his pure devotees, which means that um, just as we sang Jai Radha Madhava, so in the same way that Krishna is always attentive to the pleasure of his devotee. Krishna is not just interested in maintaining his devotee, not just interested in making his devotee materially comfortable, but Krishna wants especially those pure devotees who have surrendered completely. He is always interested in giving them newer and newer types of happiness. We see, we see that, or we hear that Krishna is served in so many wonderful ways. Correspondingly, also Krishna also serves his eternal associates in so many wonderful ways, eternally, eternally. So we hear, of course, how Krishna brings the padukas of Maharaj Nanda on his head. So Krishna is not just doing that as a joke, just to make a fun out of it, but actually Krishna has that kind of concern, that kind of intense love for all his devotees who are fully surrendered to him. He wants to give them pleasure. So even it's mentioned that how Krishna sometimes makes garlands, makes jewelry, creates special kind of arrangements, special kind of uh, forest bowers for his eternal associates in the spiritual world. So that is Krishna's personality. So that aspect of Krishna, that how Krishna is the eternal servant of his devotees, loving servant of his devotees, that is exemplified by Lord Chaitanya and in his teachings and his pastimes. So Lord Chaitanya's pastime, there are many ways to look at it, but the most important aspect of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes is the love that he displayed towards his devotees. That is being exemplified in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat. So that verse in Nectar of Instruction, the fourth verse, Tadati Pratigrahanati Gushyam Akhyati Prichati Bhute Bhojite Cheva Chadvitam Preeti Lakshanam. So this is very important that this verse, the center of this verse is actually Gushyam Akhyati Prichati, confidential inquiry. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified that by how he dealt with the devotees so personally, um, so lovingly, according to their own desire, according to their own sadhana, etc., etc. So this is the theme of Mahaprabhu's pastimes throughout, whether it's Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Lord Chaitanya sat there for 7 days, even though Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was speaking Yoga Vashishta, even though he was speaking incorrectly, but Mahaprabhu sat there for 7 days. Or whether it's Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, how he instructed them, how he gave them confidential orders, or whether it's we are hearing about Vipra Vasudev, we are hearing about Kurma Brahmana. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave special love to all the devotees by giving them this Guhyam Akhyati Prachati. What is the most important need of a devotee? What is the most important desire of a devotee? Is to experience that love that Krishna has for him, that the divine couple has for him. So Lord Chaitanya gave that reciprocation to all the devotees in so many different ways. I want to speak of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hearing the pastime of Dhruva and Prahlad so many times, so many times. And it is explained that actually eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya's Bhagavad Acharya. Bhagavad Acharya, when he used to read Bhagavatam, Lord Chaitanya used to become so ecstatic that he would jump up and he would start dancing for hours in a row when he was reciting Bhagavatam. And in between, he would embrace Bhagavad Acharya. And Bhagavad Acharya would become ecstatic, would become stunned. And Mahaprabhu said, go on, go on, go on. And it went on like this for 8 hours. And then Swarup Damodar decided that if he didn't stop, then Mahaprabhu would go on for the rest of eternity. So that is our Lord, our dear Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana Nitai Gaura Chandra. This is very important. Sava Avatar Sara Shiromani Keval Ananda Kanda. So Sara Shiromani, very important, that they are the crest jewel, which means the most special of all the incarnations of the Lord. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is not an incarnation, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in this context, he is the crest jewel of all incarnations of the Lord, because he exemplifies the mercy aspect of the Lord. Because you just look at any person in this world, any great personality in this world, if they don't show some mercy, then even though they have so many other wonderful qualities, those wonderful qualities will never reach another person if they're not merciful. Just like His Grace Gosha Prabhu mentioned, His Grace Gosha Prabhu mentions the wonderful example that if you think that you're better than someone, you'll never preach to them, or you'll never give them the most wonderful thing that you have received. Because why? You think they're not qualified. But when there is mercy, when there is compassion, then the great souls, through that compassion, they actually give this, all the other qualities, all the other jewels of spiritual life. So we're very fortunate that we have not only Chaitanya Charitamrita, but biographies of so many wonderful acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, Shyamananda Pandit, so many amazing acharyas that they have enacted their pastimes and they have given that Guhyamakhyati Prachyati, that how can we attain the lotus feet of Krishna? How can we feel? Because if a devotee can feel how much Krishna is doing for him, how much the divine couple, how much the acharyas are doing for him, then he can, I'm speaking beyond my realization, I have no realization. But if one can feel that, then he doesn't need anything else in this world. That's the only thing that a devotee actually needs, the most essential requirement. That's why all these Goswamis, even though they were executing great austerities, but they were constantly floating in this Gopi Bhava Rasamrita Abdila Hari. They were constantly floating this ocean of ecstasy, of experiencing the reciprocation of the Lord at every moment. And that's why they did not care for anything else in this world. And in the same way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through his pastimes, he inundated the heart of all his pure devotees, his eternal associates, with unlimited love. And of course, what to speak of the fallen conditioned souls. So I'm sorry, but since yesterday was God putting, I just wanted to glorify a little bit. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and the day after he appeared, there's a huge festival to celebrate the appearance, to celebrate the advent of this Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in that connection, these verses are very significant. So the first verse, which has no purport, 4870, is speaking about how Uttanapad, after he was advised by Narada that his son would become a great devotee of the Lord. Uttanapad gave up all his duties and just thinking of Dhruva. This is very important actually. That yes, we may do so many services, but great kings teach by their example, great personalities, great devotees teach by their example that bhakti is like a meditation. The purpose of bhakti is to transform the mind. And the best way to transform the mind is actually love. So how we get love, how do we experience love? By meditating on those who have love. So here Uttanapad is meditating on Dhruva. So when we meditate on a great personality and we meditate on their mood, that's the most important, their mood, how they're serving. So when we meditate on that, then we become purified. And if we are so receptive, we can imbibe that mood and we can imbibe that mood in our daily life. Actually, this is my own analysis. We are all by nature, we are emotional beings. So bhakti is about spiritualizing that emotion through Shastra by association and by acting in such a way to please devotees. So, what is the best way you can please devotees? By actually satisfying their desire to serve Krishna in the way that they want to serve. This is very important. Sometimes, even speaking about myself, I may want to serve devotees, but unless we serve them the way they want to be served, they will not be pleased. The mood, the way in which they want to be served, because every devotee is different. Every devotee has their own way of serving Krishna. So, by associating, by understanding, and by acting in that way, then we can please them. And the next verse, and just to end, actually, Guru Vaishnav Bhagwan Tinera Smaran. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that when we think of Guru, that is the spiritual masters, Shiksha and Diksha Gurus, Vaishnav, the devotees of the Lord, and Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By remembering all these three, Vigna Vinashan, all the obstacles that one has to carry out his duties in Krishna consciousness are destroyed, and Anayase, easily we can attain the benediction that is love of Godhead. So that's the power of remembering the devotees, meditating on the devotees, meditating on the Guru, meditating on great personalities. And the next verse is about Dhruva. Maharaj Dhruva in the forest at Madhuban, he took his bath in Yamuna, he observed fasting, and then he engaged himself in worshipping the Lord. So, in this translation, what is very important? Cleanliness is very important. And worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the association of devotees is very important. Of course, here it may not be mentioned, but this is the way we can actually create the Vrindavan atmosphere, that is by the association of devotees. By the association of sincere devotees who are ahaitukya pratihata, by the association of such devotees, we can create the Vrindavan atmosphere or the Navadvip atmosphere of devotional service. Just like we see that on Ekadasi, especially on Ekadasi day, we all have this experience that somehow we become spiritually more enlivened, we become spiritually more enthusiastic. So on such days, and especially in the temple, in the association of serious devotees, we can feel that ecstasy, that enthusiasm. Like yesterday, we all, to whatever extent, because I'm very fallen, but to whatever extent we are able to feel that thing. So in the purport, Prabhupada is saying that how he acted exactly according to the advice of the great sage Narada. So the spiritual master gives many instruction. And here I'm not speaking about specific, I'm speaking about even general instruction. But even in the general instruction, the spiritual master gives a particular mood or a particular emphasis on certain instructions more than others. And by understanding the principal instruction and by understanding the mood behind the principal instruction, then automatically all the other instructions are put into perspective. The most important instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, which is very important for every ISKCON devotee, is actually to chant 16 rounds, a minimum, as attentively as possible, and reading Srila Prabhupada books or discussing Prabhupada books, understanding, doing mananam, which means meditating. Because the goal is simple, is to, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the goal is to become mad in Krishna consciousness. Simple goal. It's not a very complicated goal, is to just be completely engrossed in chanting the holy name, in remembering the Lord, remembering the pastime. That is the goal of Krishna consciousness. In order to achieve that goal, one needs to have very deep conviction. And unless one is deeply convinced, one cannot act. So that's why Shastriya Shraddha is very important. The first platform of Shraddha is Shastriya Shraddha. If we don't have deep understanding of Shastra, especially Prabhupada books, then our Shraddha will be Laukik. Laukik means very weak, very pliable Shraddha. So Shastra Shraddha is very important. And on the platform of Shastra Shraddha and having the association of devotees, slowly that Shraddha will develop to become stronger and stronger. And will ultimately, the goal is it will lead to greed. Greed for attaining the lotus feet of the Lord. So again, Prabhupada is saying in the purport that how one should very seriously act according to the instruction of the spiritual master. So by chanting Hare Krishna, attentively and sincerely, and by hearing the teachings, because the mind is the center of spiritual activities. The mind. So according to what someone meditates on, according to thinking, there will be the feeling and the willing. So we always speak of this in regard to sense gratification, but we have to speak also in a positive way. Unless we do a good amount of thinking about spiritual subject matter, our heart will not go towards serving the spirit. That's a very important principle. So unless the mind is sufficiently spiritualized by hearing and chanting, or is always spiritualized by hearing and chanting, the service attitude will not manifest. And then even though someone may do seva, it may be for so many reasons. So that's why this is very important. If we can give ourselves and if we can give others the joy of hearing and chanting about Krishna, then we can serve how much ever we can, push ourselves to any extent. Of course, this does not mean that we should exploit our own body or others limitations, but this is a very wonderful principle. So by acting very seriously according to the instruction of the spiritual master, Prabhupada is saying there is no anxiety of attaining perfection. There will be no anxiety of attaining perfection. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told was in one shloka in Chaitanya Charitamrita mentioned that my spiritual master considered me as a fool. And he told me that, my dear child, you don't have this is in Mahaprabhu's own humility, that you don't have the aptitude to study Vedanta. to study Shastra. But you just do one thing, my dear child, you just chant this holy name of Krishna. So, in order to execute this instruction, one has to have this complete faith in Guru, that whatever Guru is saying is best for me, or is the only thing which is required for me. So, if one has this faith in the spiritual master and dedication to the spiritual master, then there'll be no anxiety. There'll be no anxiety. That's the most important principle in Krishna consciousness. Anxiety comes because of lack of faith. And lack of faith is because of lack of sufficient association. Because ultimately, where is faith born? Faith is born, especially in the spirit, is born in the association of pure devotees, sincere devotees. So only if we sufficiently associate, not just externally associate, but internally associate, which means hear the instructions, hear the pastimes more and more and more, and become more and more connected with the spiritual personality, only then are we qualified to actually get that gift of faith. So when we have this very deep faith, then automatically we accept and we act. Artificially, we cannot do anything. Like we all have had experience that when we first came to bhakti, we didn't follow Ekadasi. It's very difficult to follow Ekadasi. Just the thought of following Ekadasi was like how is it possible? But then only because of faith and by acting according to the instructions was it possible. Was it possible to do that? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exemplified that if one simply accepts the instructions from the spiritual masters and acts, then one will attain the ultimate perfection. Because otherwise, according to material calculation, according to even according to the Vedas, to attain Atha Darshanam, which is the highest platform of Krishna consciousness, face-to-face darshan with Lord, is impossible. There are so many ways, methods, this yoga, that yoga. It's virtually impossible even after doing everything. But why did Narad why did Maharaj Dhruva attain success so quickly? Because he only followed the instructions of his guru and he didn't do anything else. So, of course, it's very high platform, but the mood is important. So Narad did not give him instructions for eating. Narad told him just eat whatever fruits and roots are available. So he followed that. And Narad Muni did not give any instructions for sleeping. So he barely slept. And the exact way in which Narad Muni asked him to perform the worship, he performed that exact way. And that's why he attained perfection so quickly. So in the same principle, this is from whatever little experience I've had, that whatever troubles may come in Krishna consciousness, whatever difficulties may come, but if we continue on this path, continue every day, every moment, trying to give our heart, our everything to serving the orders of our authorities. It's not very complicated, it's not very difficult, to the best of our ability. Then what will happen is we will melt their heart. We'll melt their heart, we'll get their mercy, and on the strength of that mercy, we'll be able to achieve everything. This is the most important message of Gaur Leela. There are many pastimes in Gaur Leela, but one of the most wonderful, many wonderful pastimes are there, but one of the most wonderful pastimes in Gaur Leela, two wonderful pastimes. One pastime is Maharaj Prataparudra, because in that pastime, if you see how many times devotees are petitioning Lord Chaitanya uh, on his behalf to give him mercy. Again and again, Ramandra is glorifying, is asking, Sarvamatacha is asking, and how they, by their prayer, by their mercy, they gave him such a special darshan in, and that too, he's a king. Lord Chaitanya gave him that kind of audience, that kind of special mercy that he sang Gopi Gita, which is the highest um, expression of love of Godhead in separation. Mahaprabhu gave that kind of mercy. Why? Because from the first day, Maharaj Pratap Rudra was a servant of the devotees. Was a servant of the devotee. He sacrificed, not only he was a servant, he sacrificed to please the devotees. He sacrificed. He sacrificed his mind, his energies, everything to please the devotees so that they could be happy. Um, he gave pension to Ramananda Roy and he made so many arrangements for Mahaprabhu to stay in Tapan Mishra's home. So many, Kashi Mishra's home, so many arrangements he made. And as a result of that, over a period of time, he attained the highest perfection. Raghunath Das Goswami, our Prayojanacharya, it's very important principle that how he served so many devotees in the Panihati festival. And all the devotees, Nityananda Prabhu is very important. Nityananda Prabhu himself, and he asked all the devotees, all of you please give Raghunath Das Goswami, at that time his name was Raghunath, the benediction that he will attain the special mercy, the confidential association of Lord Chaitanya. Please forgive me if I am not exactly speaking the translation in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but he asked all the devotees to pray, to bless him. So this is a very important principle that we are doing sadhana. Ultimately, we're doing sadhana, we're doing seva to melt the heart of devotees. We're doing it for someone. We're not doing it is not just a process, not like I'm doing something to complete a process. No, we're doing something to please someone. There is someone who is watching. Krishna is watching. Pure devotees are watching. Great personalities are watching us. So we're doing everything to actually please them. That consciousness is very important. If we have that consciousness, even though we will be going through a lot of difficulty, a lot of whatever agitation, but if we have that consciousness, then we can continue our service even in the most difficult situation. And what is the most difficult situation? The most difficult situation is when the mind is not controlled, when the mind is not cooperative. Basically, who creates a difficult situation? It's not anyone or anything, it's Maya. It's the external energy of the Lord who is testing us. So, in order to pass the examination at every moment, we need to have this consciousness that, yes, Guru, the pure devotees, they're constantly watching me. Krishna is constantly watching me with a loving eye. And if I just do the best I can, because they know the ability, if I just can do the best I can with a prayerful mood, then, of course, without criticizing others, without actually, another amazing one realization I had a few days ago that is this Yoshua was mentioning in Brahmachari class that how we cannot understand Krishna's pastime because Krishna's pastime is on Turiya platform. It's on completely on a different platform, way beyond. How will it be possible to understand, to relish? So it is only possible if, just as um, Mahaprabhu decided to specifically, personally empower Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam, and reveal the most confidential secrets of his heart. and he transferred to the heart of Rupa Goswami. Since Mahaprabhu decided to do that, so in the same way, it is only possible by the grace of those who have it. Those who are relishing, if they give their mercy, only then can we relish. So, what is the barrier between us and the pure devotees? The only barrier is ultimately material vision. I mean, I'm not able to apply, but I really want to apply. I'm begging all the devotees mercy so that I can apply. So if we don't judge devotees, we never judge them, we don't materially, we don't criticize them, we don't find fault, then there is a free passage between us and whoever, our Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru. So then they can transmit that what they're relishing, what they're feeling to our heart. And then if we are very simple, non-judgmental, simple devotee, even though we are very fallen, then we have that patra, we have that pot to collect that absorption, to collect that spiritual strength, to collect that devotional relishment. And then we can relish, then we can experience. So we can develop this extreme simplicity, just like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, that be as simple as a child. So if you can have this childlike simplicity, non-judgmental mentality, we can pray to develop this non-judgmental mentality towards the devotees. Then we can see them spiritually with spiritual vision, and then we can receive so much nectar from their association, so much inspiration from their association. So as we receive more and more and more of that in our spiritual life, more and more blessings, every moment. Blessings is not something that we need only on a particular day. We need it every moment. The more blessings we have, the more blessings we have, the more absorption we have. The more absorption we have, the more our determination is stronger in bhakti, and we can do more and more. We can make more and more progress. So if we can act in such a way that we can collect the blessings at every moment, then that is our only hope to actually attain the perfection of spiritual life. So that is Mahaprabhu's special contribution, that Mahaprabhu gave us this process, gave us such wonderful devotees, such a wonderful process. And Mahaprabhu is also declaring to us that how by his mercy it is completely possible to attain the perfection of entering the eternal pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna, even before the end of this life. Mahaprabhu is, Srila Prabhupada is giving us this promise that it is very much possible. So I beg for the blessing of the devotees. Sorry, today was longer class. Please forgive me if I spoke anything inappropriate. Anyone has any question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, would it be possible for you to speak like 5 minutes on Jagannath Mishra's festival?
Unfortunately, it's late now. I would like to, but to be honest, also I didn't, study about that in detail. So please forgive me. I don't think I can. I'll see maybe next class or sometime in future. I'll speak on that.
Sure, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Anyone else has any question or comment? Correction? Prabhuji, you'd like to add anything? Okay, we will end here. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyo Paditanam pavanabhyo Vaishnavyanam Anantakoti Vaishnava Shila Prabhupada ki Jai.